Okay, well, welcome to the first screen photographic video. This is the next step of the journey for myself as screen photographic. I'm so delighted that you're joining me here today. Now we're going to be bringing you gear reviews, tutorials, editing tips, my view on photography and the photographic world. You get my opinion. You get hints on how to take better images, walkthroughs, tutorials, all kinds of things. But today we're going to fill our time with looking at a super fast edit you can do immediately. Now there's no prior experience needed in photo editing. If you've got an image hanging around on your computer you think I can make that look a little bit better, load it up, join in, follow along, pause the video, rewind as much as you need to do so. Okay. Now I'm running an operating system called Ubuntu 18.10, which you'll see here. We're going to be looking at two programs today, Gimp and Darktable. Now both are available not just on Linux, but also on Windows and of course Mac too. So they'll probably run on the equipment you're watching this video on. No mobile phone versions as yet. Whether they'll appear in the future for photo editing, I couldn't possibly tell you that. But Darktable is this icon here. So let's load it up and have a look. Okay, now this is a raw image processing software. Very similar in a lot of ways to Lightroom. And indeed, if you've used Lightroom before, you'll be used to some of the modules, some of the features that you see in the program. From the light table, the outside screen, where you can import your images to various different formats, PNG, JPEG, TIFF, many more. We'll come on to that a bit later on in this video. Here are your Darktable styles. They've got a lot of the presets in Lightroom. You can make your own styles if you need to. You can download. I've downloaded these, and again we'll come on to where you get those from in another video, how they work. Some of them pretty cool, some of them a little bit weird. I haven't used all of them. I don't know what some of them do, but that's to explore with. That's to do later on. Now, when you open Darktable, this is always what you'll see first of all. You'll always see the Lighttable screen, and when you import an image, you simply click on Folder. You'd navigate to where the photo was on the left-hand side, and you'd pick your image and you'd import it. Quite simply, you can open an individual image, you can open a folder. There's a number of different customizable options. You'll see I've already got an image open for you here. Now our image, our plan today is to take this photo and turn it into a high contrast black and white. If you've never edited a raw image before, doesn't matter. So feel free to follow along. Nothing is destructive. You can always reset a module or use a history stack, which you'll see in the darkroom, to reset the image back to how it was. You see I've been doing some edits, I'm playing some edits already. And if I click on original, it resets the photo. So take notice of these for the time being. I'll compress the history stack back to the original. Now, your image information tells you what film roll it's on. In this case I've started a folder called for video. The image ID, the group ID, the actual file name, so you'll see it's a raw image. You see the location it's saved in on the computer, and here's the technical stuff. So it's taken on a Canon EOS 750D using a 50mm 1.4 lens, f2.8 with exposure 1:200, focal length of 50mm on a bright sunny day with light of 100. And I was about 6 foot away when I took the picture, so it's pretty clear. And what we're going to do, we're going to focus on this young lady here. We're going to make her the subject of the picture, and we're going to make high contrast black and white. You may have seen the edited version of this photo on my Facebook or on my Instagram, links below. And I'm going to show you how you can recreate that today. Now, first thing you want to have a look at when you first open an image to edit is a base curve. And I could construct a whole video around the base curve if I really wanted to. Darktable has a number of different defaults based on your camera. So you can right click, you can choose Canon like, EOS like alternative, you can use neutral, and they'll all output into the Lightroom as well. So if you make an image, go away from Darktable, come back in, you'll see it's pulled through. Now some of these aren't the best for your camera, I must admit. Sometimes it's worth flattening the tone curve and creating your own one, and look through perhaps with the other camera models. Something might work slightly better for your camera and your image. I don't think we need to go through all of these, but you'll see all the major brands. Leica's quite a sharp image. We're going to stick with Canon Leica, so it brings up an image which is a little bit bright. Okay. So what we're going to do first of all, before we start doing anything, is crop. We're going to crop this young lady out here, these hands out here, and make this young lady the focal point. So quite easy. You go to the crop module. Now this is stored in your basic group, and there are a number of different groups you can use in Darktable. You've got basic, you've got your tone group, you've got your colours group, you've got your corrections group, and you've got your effects group. If you're using the software for the first time, these groups will look different. The reason being, I've gone on to more modules and I've added some modules and taken some away. So I added some that I use regularly, taken some out that I perhaps haven't used, and these ones which aren't highlighted I haven't used at all, I haven't needed to use at some point. And you can also double click once to highlight, click again to star and it goes into your favourites, click once to turn off. So we'll come to more of these in another video. So I said, first we'll load up the crop. It's a nice and easy module to use. You can flip an image horizontally, vertically, or both horizontally and vertically, sorry. You can adjust the angle, which if you've got an image on the wonk a little bit, you may want to straighten up. We don't need to do that with this one. All we're going to do, we're going to drag in our crop line, and double click. There we go. Now it hasn't made much of an impact on the histogram yet, but you can drag slightly in to adjust the brightness, adjust the contrast, make sure everything's lined up. This little square down here, this will show you how blown out an image is, how overexposed, how underexposed in the darker areas of the image. Before I cropped in and before I dragged in the histogram, you'd have seen that these would have been badly blown out. This chap's ice cream would have been, her hair perhaps would have been a little bit too dark. And you can turn it on and off. Every time you make an edit, you can turn it on and off. It's nice and easy. Now there's a number of different ways to make an image black and white in Darktable. One is using the monochrome filter, which is okay, but I don't really like it. I'll do a video on why I don't like it and why you should probably stay away from it at some point. Let's turn that off. There we go. You can also use the colour tools to go black and white. You've got your colour zones. You can set a monochrome video up with, sorry, a monochrome image up with, but we're going to look at the contrast and brightness to get that real high contrast effect that I like. Turn the module on. First things first is get your saturation tool, drag it completely to the left so the image goes monochrome. Now from here, what we want to do is turn on a little exposure indicator. Let's increase the contrast. You'll see the overexposed, the underexposed areas. And let's just drop the brightness just a tad. There we go, that looks pretty cool. We do have a little bit of underexposure along the hairline, along the jacket. You may be able to fix up the shadows and the highlights. Or you may be able to fix that with the exposure tab. Yeah, I'm just going to take the blacks down. There we go. You can use the mouse wheel. You can also, on any module with a slider, right click to look at presets, look at favourites, look at magic lamp and defaults and exposure. Where you're away from the exposure tab, if you right click, say, on your contrast, you've then got this, you can move up and down. You can also type in the numbers that you want as well. That's looking pretty good to me. Now if I zoom in on the image, you'll notice that the young lady's just got a hair going down the front of her face, just there. You do get a spot removal tool in Darktable, but I would say use it just on small blemishes and just on small spots. For something bigger than this and a little bit more intricate, I'll edit that in GIMP a little bit later on. Okay, now the next module I want to talk you through is the shadows and the highlights module, which is this one here. Now I turned it on briefly a second ago. And what you can turn it on to increase the shadows and the highlights in the image, however much you want to. So is it with it on? Is it with it off? A little bit of a softer image, a little bit more of a detailed image if you want. To be honest with you, I think both these are pretty good, but I'm going to stick with the shadows. I'm going to stick with them off at this time. You can make individual edits to all of these if you want to do so. And I'll show you how to do that just quickly. Using things like masking. You know, draw a mask, parametric mask, draw a parametric mask, where you can literally draw a shape round, increase the brightness of the shadows in the eyes, however you wanted to do that. And again, that's a video for another time. We'll have a full look at Darktable from start to finish and a bigger edit. The other thing I want to show you is the tone curve today. Now, it starts off as a straight line, and you can turn it into an S curve. You can turn it into a rainbow curve. You can make things darker, make things lighter in increments. You can also use this pipette to select an area of the image, e.g. the hair, and draw this straight line. So if you put your point on here and drag down, everything based off that straight line will darken or lighten. And the curve will be smooth, you won't get any funny shapes. I'm going to reset that though. What I would say with the tone curve is if you go a bit wild with it, you can blow the image out either way. Get some really weird effects, so you want to be incremental with it. You can put as many points as you want into the image as well. So we're clicking. And you can adjust either all of these points, either some of these points. You can right click and go with the default. You can create your own presets. You can change the way the module works. Oh, crazy. Yeah, I don't like that. And you can change the scale. This can be quite a powerful tool, but I'd advise you to get to know it a little bit before you start to use it. So we're going to take out the little pipper again, and we're just going to make it a little bit darker on the hair. I'm just going to increase correctly where we need to. So that's looking pretty good in terms of high contrast. So this is our original image. We go back to the history stack. That was our original image. You can zoom in on certain areas. These are some of the modifications we've made. we've got our end of image there. I mentioned this hairline and how to remove it, and this is really easy. What you need to do, you need to export your image. Remember, this is a raw editing software, so any image you take in your camera in RAW, you'll edit in Darktable, in Lightroom, in RAW Therapy, and then you'll need to export it to a JPEG or a PNG or a TIFF, perhaps for use in social media, websites, magazines, another format. So I'm going to export to the same picture that the same folder that the picture's already in. So you see, you've got our raw images here. This is my for destination, and I'm going to export it as a. I'm going to export this one as a PNG. Export. That will take a little time to do. It shouldn't take too long. The more images you export, the longer this process will take, and you'll see it's done already. So let's close Darktable, and let's look at our second image today, which is GIMP. This is in essence a free version of Photoshop, and it can do many things that Photoshop can as well. Some better, some not so good. Again, this is probably a slightly customized version, as I've got extra brushes, I've got extra filters including the GMIC and the Resynth tool. These are things that you'd probably want to download and get to know. But these are things that we'll do for you, a video for you on at some point in the future. So what we're going to do is open our image, and you'll see the two programs are quite intuitive. Darktable has exported the image to a PNG, and GIMP does talk to Darktable on a certain level, but they're not the same program, they're not made by the same people. They just have some kind of a way of communicating to know which is the last image you worked on. So here we are. We have a PNG of the young lady in the city centre, and we're going to open that up. And what we're going to do, we're going to go to our heal tool, and we're going to zoom in. So you see these hairs we want to get rid of now coming down the front of the face. We're going to decrease our brush as we're working on a smaller area, and we're going to go down the face. Okay. To zoom in, if you hold down Control on your keyboard and move your mouse wheel up and down, you'll be able to zoom in on a specific area of the image. Whereas if you just move the mouse wheel up and down normally, you won't be able to do that. If you use the Control key to slide in. Now the way that the clone the healing tool works, it takes the image. If you press Control and click, it will take the image that you want to change and duplicate it. Okay, so you'll see how to move the hair and replace it to here. Control and Z will undo that. So what I want to do, I want to click close by on the skin because we don't want too many mismatches or spot matches, and then I want to slide down from here. Nice and easy. Control and click to choose a new location, and then just click on the part of the image you want to modify and slide down carefully. There's a small spot there, so we'll blemish that one out. You want to pick from quite close by, as with a colour image you wouldn't want any colour irregularities. I'm going to drop the size of the brush again, I'd say to about 20. Zoom in even closer and get even more fine details. doesn't take long to whip through, so I don't need to really speed up for the video too much, but you'll get the idea of what we're doing. And depending on how much in depth you wanted to edit this, you could oops, there we go. So yeah, depending on how much in depth you wanted to do this, you could go for a full edit. You could take out, you know, the hair blemishes that come off the hairs behind her in the wind. You get a little bit of selective colouring if you wanted to do so. You just see we've got a little bit over on the tooth there. So we'll change the brush size again, and we'll go over. Just a little bit of hair on the mouth there. That's cool. I'm just going to duplicate the layer. When you do big scale edits, you'll come up with a base layer when you first load the program. Now anything you edit edits on the layer, so similar to how it does on Photoshop. So if I duplicate the layer and then I make an edit, it's not going to edit the original image, and I'll demonstrate that for you now. I should have pointed that out at the start, apologies for that. Let's make the brush a bit bigger. Just a quick edit here. Let's take out this spot. Now if I turn the second layer off, it appears again. So this allows you to make changes to certain elements of the image without destroying the base image. So if anything goes wrong, you can simply delete the layer, you can control Z out of it, you can, you know, again, it saves you from destroying an image. Things are destructible on here as much as they are on any other photo editing, but just be a little bit careful and obviously be aware of the layers and how they work. As I said, this isn't a full edit, this isn't a full bells and whistles edit. I'll come on to those at some point in the future. This is just something to show you how to get a picture up to scratch and just have a little bit of fun with it, you know. Just say to people that, you know, I edited that photo, I made it look good. Maybe you'll impress a few people. Okay, let's compare that. So I've taken out some hairs on the side of the head up here, hence above the eye. That's where they were, and now they're gone. And I think that looks pretty good. And then you can simply flatten the image, or you can merge the layer down. If you had other editing to do, you do that from here. You've got Gmix, which I won't load up at this time because it can take a little bit of time to get to grips with. You've got various blurs, you've got hue saturation, you've got your colour curves, which you use a lot, more on colour images. You've got your brightness contrast, very similar to how we changed it in Darktable. You can drop your saturation of the image to increase the black and white, change black and white, add the colour, come up with some really blown-out drawn effects, and what we'll probably do is come back to this image at some point in the future, do some further edits. So that's the end of the first video so far. I hope you found it useful. I know I've rambled a little bit, I am sorry about that. What we'll do for you in the next video, I've got some other things planned. So this is just an introduction to the channel. I hope you've enjoyed what we're going to do, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Bye.